haven't gotten to do a call in a while because last week for the call, I think it was in DC where I was getting back that day and learned some stuff. Paul Todd's on here. He was up there and got pretty passionate about, seeing a path forward to ending some of the bad call center tactics that are out there that are ruining our industry. Not telephonic sales. I have no problem with telephonic sales. We sell telephonically for the most part, but call centers that are utilizing lead tactics that are spammy and scammy and getting people in and not creating the infrastructure on the backside to help those clients, not keeping their best interest in mind, just trying to flip them and flip them and flip them. That is what I want to spend my time advocating against. And, at NAHU, at the Capital Conference that NAHU has, you can really see that if we, the Medicare agent, get more involved in that type of organization, there's a path to grabbing the ear of people who have power to really lay the hammer down on some of these groups. Sometimes people think that somebody like me has power. Only power I think I have is to help influence our other agents to join the calls because there's strength in numbers in advocating for a better marketplace for all of us. Did want to talk a little bit about some of the concerns that are getting raised on DCE, direct to consumer enrollment, direct to consumer, whatever they call it, for Medicare Advantage. Looks like there was some backlash on that program, kind of taking it down a little notch, which is good. I don't really view it as a short-term threat to us because of the way in which it is attacking the consumer who's probably not the most viable prospect, somebody who didn't make a decision at all for an extended period of time. But it's kind of like a slippery slope. The more they allow in the direct to consumer format or, and to backtrack for those of you who don't know, there is a government program that had been floated or kind of tested to create certain variables for when someone would be involuntarily enrolled into a Medicare Advantage plan when they did not have a drug plan or another Medicare Advantage plan that they chose, be it just kind of picked and thrown into one. And it's something that a lot of people are advocating against. It's another reason to get involved in an organization like NAHU, however you want to say it, so that we can have a voice collectively and we can police our own. We don't want to allow that organization to be infiltrated by people who are going to utilize it to advocate for things that make it easier for them to whore out the Medicare beneficiary rather than doing what's in their best interest. So DCE was something that, is good to look at. Marketing in general, when we're up there, people were talking a lot about the television marketing and the marketing of benefits. The rules say you can't market certain benefits, but what they're doing is they're speaking so generally, they're kind of skirting around being able to be held to a standard of compliance on that. And so we had some ideas. One of the ideas that I presented to Senator Wicker's office and some of the healthcare policy aides while we were up there was to make a Medicare Advantage sale not to be able to be the result of a foreign initiated phone call. That would really cut the legs from beneath some of the private equity style call center pushes right now. Another thing that we pushed for in that was, consumer choice. And I wasn't trying to say anything bad about Medicare Advantage, but I was trying to tell these groups that for Medicare Advantage to be viable, that we have to have a standard of increasing enrollment at a rate that the Medicare beneficiaries, the providers, all that can be comfortable with, so that it doesn't create a negative connotation towards the Medicare Advantage program, which this is already happening. But if we can avoid the negative connotation towards the Medicare Advantage program by enrolling people that truly want the plan, enrolling people in a way that is conducive to slow and steady growth versus explosive growth at the expense of the public perception of Medicare Advantage. Because when you tarnish the public perception of Medicare Advantage, then you can't slow and steadily increase the growth rate at a point that the consumers remain comfortable with, so that we can, get the enrollment where it needs to be for that plan to help with the solvency of the Medicare program. There's certainly a place for Medicare Advantage, but it's not every single person with a pulse and a Medicare card needs a Medicare Advantage plan the way it's being sold. And that's the biggest problem with it. So Medicare Advantage internally makes up about 25% of our annual production for health plans, whereas Medicare Advantage makes up about 50% of our downline production. And for most hierarchies, it's much worse than that as far as the amount of downline production being Medicare Advantage, because it's so easy to get somebody to go out and do flipping these, zero premium plans or signing people up for things that don't cost anything. There's also a rapid evolution in the low income market and the dual eligible market. But the long-term viability of the Medicare program is supposed to help with the solvency, or the Medicare Advantage program is supposed to help with the solvency of Medicare. Now, I do have a legitimate complaint with that theory, because right now they reward Medicare Advantage plans with more money for diagnoses. And in turn, if it's a health maintenance organization and you have a health maintenance organization primary care clinic who gets monthly residual revenue based on the amount of diagnoses they give, then they're creating a system that rewards people getting diagnosed rather than cured. And we already had a healthcare system that I think is designed to treat rather than to fix anyway. And so as we see that, in the Medicare Advantage program, I don't think that it really helps with the solvency of Medicare. There's a fix to this. And so this is another thing that we want to advocate for at NAHU. And that fix to me is to take the total number of Medicare beneficiaries, take the total expense of the Medicare program, divide it by the number of total beneficiaries on Medicare, the total expense divided by the number of Medicare beneficiaries, and that's how you get kind of your rough, this is what each Medicare beneficiary cost us. And then if you're turning that over to a Medicare Advantage plan, say, okay, we're going to give you this much a year, regardless of the diagnoses of the person, minus 10% or 5% or whatever the margin of victory to help with the solvency of Medicare is. That's how you create a solvent system. You can't tie metrics to the Medicare program, Medicare Advantage program, that allow them to get more money in the long run than it was actually costing to keep them on Medicare. So I'm a free market capitalist believer. I do believe that Medicare Advantage could be a solution to Medicare solvency issues, but I believe that it has to be done tastefully, gracefully, and there has to be a system that doesn't make it where you can get more money out of it by doing this thing. So in a health maintenance organization, it's supposed to keep someone healthier. It shouldn't be sitting there, rewarding diagnoses that go unsolved, right? It shouldn't do the opposite either. It shouldn't promote a system where they don't want to diagnose someone either. It should be completely agnostic to the amount of money being pumped into it, reflecting the amount of diagnoses. So Medicare solvency is another thing that we were talking about at NAHU. To back up for some of the people that came in here, direct to consumer, DCE, Medicare Advantage, the future of Medicare Advantage and solvency. I do believe that over time, the Medicare Advantage and the Affordable Care Act plans will be pushed in a way that they'll try to obliterate the group health market, raise payroll taxes, and you'll then kind of begin to start having single payer. It's a quasi single payer system. It's not true Medicare for all. True Medicare for all is not viable because anytime the government does anything, they spend too much money on it. One of the reasons that people love Medicare with a supplement is because when they go to a skilled nursing facility or somewhere like that, and they say, hey, this person needs to stay in a skilled nursing facility for 100 days. Medicare doesn't say why, they just do it, right? And that's great for your client at the time, but is it really good for the solvency of a system to have no checks and balances as to why someone would want to be there? And so some people say, you don't want to get the insurance company involved in your healthcare decisions. You want your doctor to be able to make that. Well, doctors make money on the stuff too. And so doctors can also, fall victim or they could fall victim to greed or a process where they can psychologically tell themselves, oh, this is necessary when maybe it isn't. And when Medicare has no standard of like saying, oh, you shouldn't be in a skilled nursing facility for this is silly, you should be at home, then the skilled nursing facility people, the what do you call them? Like your home health care nurses, all these people that are used to Medicare and Medicare supplements, making it easier for them to get claims payments, are saying, oh, Medicare Advantage is bad. It's terrible. Unfortunately, the answer is more in between, it's not bad or good. It's, Medicare has flaws, Medicare Advantage has flaws. And so for us to really get involved in fixing those flaws, it's very important for us to, again, look at organizations like NAHU, get some of you guys to the Capitol Conference. It really helped me. And to tell you a little bit about why I got involved in NAHU and the benefits of it for you from a monetary perspective versus kind of a pie in the sky perspective is what we're talking about now. With NAHU, Danielle Kunkel-Roberts had talked one time about how getting involved in it really helped her from a referral perspective. So there was a lot of group health people in there that didn't do Medicare. She got involved in it years and years ago. And I took that to heart and said, well, I'm going to get involved. So I got to look it up. And Mississippi, has the chapter. They do a lot of local, regional, state specific chapters. And when I went to join, the nearest meeting to us was 3.5 hours away. So I joined NAHU, and Paige Phillips in Alabama, who's very involved and is a Medicare agent, recommended to Dennis Mobley, who was the president of the Mississippi Association of Health Underwriters, Mississippi chapter of NAHU, that he should have me speak at one of their events. So I go down and speak 3.5 hours away, took some of my team, and I have some agents in that area in Jackson. So I was encouraging them to join so that they could get, in there from a networking perspective. So we go down and, they immediately after I speak started asking me to get involved in the board. And I agreed to do the vice president of the Mississippi Association of Health Underwriters. Still couldn't get super involved because I'm 3.5 hours away. So what happened after that, though, is because I'm the VP, they wanted me to come to the Capitol Conference. And I was like, okay, well, guess what? I've been a lot of places, but I've never really spent any time in DC. So I was excited from that front and took my family up there and got to see a lot of that. But going to Capitol Conference was eye-opening because I saw a path to grabbing the ear of the people that had the power to affect change. Being able to create those relationships, have our own lobbyists, because as much as I don't like lobbyists, if they're going to exist, I'd rather them work for my causes than against them. So we get up there, we find out there's lobbying firms that are attached to NAHU. The problem with NAHU right now is that it is predominantly group health focused. And that's not because it's a group health organization. It's because group health agents have been around longer, and those agencies got involved, in the 80s. Some of these agencies got involved in the 70s and 80s with NAHU. It's been around for a long time. But we're in a pivot point where there's many more Medicare agents. We're just not as organized. So, my goal is to get people in NAHU, even if they can't get super involved in their local chapter, and then getting them to go to Capitol Conference so they can see it. And I want that room to be 50% Medicare and individual health focused agents next year, because with our numbers, if we can, I hate to use the word infiltrate. I'm sure NAHU would hate that. Chris Schottmeyer told me not to use the word infiltrate, but it's a good word. I want to infiltrate NAHU's ranks with Medicare agents so that we can have a voice. And they also have a thing called HUPAC, the Health Underwriters Political Action Committee. And that political action committee is really where you can get some power in influencing policy. And right now, group health is great, but they don't always understand the things that we understand. They don't always have the same allied goals as we do. And while I love all these group health guys, I really want to get our individual health people there. So that's important to me right now. It's something that I'm trying to advocate for. And so I want to take the time to give you guys some pie in the sky goals to get you in there so that we can lead the conversation from the point of being extremely knowledgeable of the issues that our industry faces. I was talking to somebody on YouTube this morning. They're talking about direct mail response rates are down to 1%. Well, all marketing response is down, which is why these call centers resort to some really tacky marketing practices to increase their ability to get the least of these people. That's my Bible quote for the day. The least of these, they get these people that are just not able to really discern quality from not quality information on the phone. Get Pakistani call centers, getting them on the phone and transferring them over, and then trying to just play plan swap. And we're completely against that. And so I hope that I can encourage you guys to get involved and just understand that, NAHU, I believe, as a membership, it's about somewhere like $35 a month or something like that. That money really does go to support the infrastructure of NAHU, to support the infrastructure of HUPAC. We are trying to, and we're working with Eugene Starks, who's the president of NAHU. He is a group health guy. And we're working with Danielle and Mike Smith, who's president of the brokerage, working with a lot of these guys to create a virtual national Medicare agent chapter that, by virtue of being involved in any chapter already, you can have membership of, or someone could potentially just join the virtual chapter. That way we could focus on it. But remember, joining isn't enough. I really think, you guys have to get to Capitol Con, because you get up to Capitol Con and then you're a member. We can change the voice of the organization. I think there's already quite a few individual health members that just don't participate at the same rate that the group health members do, because they haven't seen the value of it. And I remember I was posting stuff. I went to Capitol Conference. All these people were like, "What's Capitol Conference?" Well, it's not very advertised, but it's where we can affect change the most, I believe. Stopping the crazy, tacky lead development strategies, getting together again. And this is one of the reasons I like to get together for Medicare Con is, and I'm trying to do this, and it's not always popular. trying to create a vetting system for what is quality and what isn't quality. And sometimes I don't know that up front either. I have to waste money to figure that out, but we want to vet out people that are over promising and under delivering in our market when they're marketing to agents or consumers. And there's both. We have, crazy people that are online that have tremendous popularity that overpromise and underdeliver results. And we want to create an environment where the stage at Medicare Con is already vetted. And so you may see it change. If you went to MedicareCon.com and you saw the speaker lineup, it's probably changed in the last few months because we probably had to kick out some people that were not good for the industry. We don't view them as good for the industry. We don't view them as good for agents, and we can't endorse them. So go on there and check that speaker lineup out. It'll probably change more in the future as well, as we're able to create a good vetting system for all of you. Whether you're doing business with us or not, doesn't matter. We want to be the group that tells you, here's where we believe somebody's wasting money. And a lot of times it's because we wasted a lot of money there and figured it out for you. So hopefully you guys don't have to get burned as bad as we did, or as bad as some of our partners have. So
it's time to grow your agency like a guru. Introducing Go Guru Pro. The Go High Level platform allows for minimizing software-based subscriptions and grants control over several facets of marketing and communication. Automate your workflow, communicate with your leads, book appointments in advance, and house all your clients in one secure location. Visit goguru.pro and schedule your one-on-one demo today.